Hello and welcome to Oakville Matters. Oakville is a city that calls itself a town and feels like a village if you meet everybody else halfway. And we work together to increase our harmony, prosperity, and livability. Today, we're going to talk about Black History Month, which is coming right up in February. And with us is Andrew Tyrrell, who's the president of the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton. Andrew, good day. How are you? Are you excited about the plans you've got for this Black History Month? I say that because every Black History Month, you kind of raise the bar.
Well, you're right, Mr. Mayor. We have really decided to go with a very ambitious schedule this year, as we do every year, but this year is going to be our best ever.
So what are you going to start off with?
Well, to start off, we have our Black History Month launch, which is at the Center of Performing Arts on February the 1st. And we have well over 450 people there. And that is really the launch of all of the things that we have in February. We have Art House Children's Choir who's performing. We have Jerry Defoe, who is a retired Halton Regional Police Service officer who is now a Whitney Houston tribute singer. So she's going to be singing Whitney Houston songs. We have a girls group that's coming from Toronto that is going to be doing some presentations for us. We have a drumming group as well. And then featuring, we have the internationally known Julie Black, who's an R&B singer, and she is really Canada's gem. And as a matter of fact, she has a Canada star on the Walk of Fame, and recently CBC has designated her as one of the 25th celebrated and best singers in Canadian history.
I love her work, her performances. The first time I saw her, she did 7 Day Fool and just knocked it out of the park. It's a heck of a song, and she really delivered that song. So any chance she'll do that song for us?
Well, I don't know, but I'll put in a special request just for you.
All right. Well, I like the way you don't miss a day in February. February is Black History Month. Maybe we should tell our viewers why February or how February became Black History Month.
Yeah, in 1996, the federal government proclaimed February the 1st and the month of February to be Black History Month. It was a motion that was introduced by Dr. Jean Augustine, and it was unanimously adopted by the House of Commons. And 1996 was the very first Black History Month.
Yeah, and Jean Augustine was a pretty important person in the development of Black consciousness in our country, don't you think?
Well, she is a transformational change maker. She did a number of things. She was in cabinet, and then she went on to become the Fairness Commissioner, and she still does a number of things today. At the 25th anniversary of Black History Month, she was our guest for the Canadian Caribbean Association launch at that time. And last year we had her back. She has a film that is widely circulated and widely celebrated called Steadfast. And she premiered that here in Oakville in February last year.
Now, one of the things that CCAH has been doing, I've noticed, since you became president, is an expanded effort to make sure that youth are involved. I think it's obvious why you would do that. I won't say, so why'd you do that? But were you surprised at the ready acceptance that you're experiencing?
No, not at all. At the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton, youth is a cornerstone of the work that we do. As a matter of fact, we have a youth outreach coordinator who is 100% dedicated to going into the schools and empowering everybody. They're there to help the Black students because we know, and the data has indicated that Black students For example, they are ones who are at the top of the disciplinary chain, so they get either suspended or expelled for reasons that their white-faced students do not. And we have a dedicated person, staff member, who's in there advocating and really teaching the students and teaching their parents how to navigate the administration. And in doing that, we set up Black student unions, but they're just not, as with everything that CCH does, they're just not exclusively Black, because there's Black allies in the school. And those students, what we've seen is that they're proud to share their culture and their heritage with their students as well. So we're happy to help that. We're happy to help the teachers celebrate that, and the youth are really empowered. And that's something that the CCH does not only in the schools, but as well in other entities as well. We're in the libraries, for example, during Black History Month at Oakville Public Library, we have authors who come in and they read from their books that show their lived experience, and hopefully the little ones and the youth will be able to see themselves in those books, not only because their lived experiences are there, but in many cases for the children's books, they are Black children who are illustrated in those books as well. But besides all of that, the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton, we have a youth leadership summer program where we have dedicated officers from the Halton Regional Police Service that come in for a whole day and organize a group of about 50 students. And we have a number of different guests. This year we had a guest speaker from KPNG talking about careers there. We had a guest speaker from Halton Healthcare talking about the non-traditional kinds of career paths there, because everybody thinks about being a doctor or being a nurse, but there's all kinds of different career paths at Halton Healthcare. Same thing with the police. There's different career paths there. Not only a police officer, there's a multitude of civilian police-oriented and support jobs there. And we had people from the Army talking about those jobs that are there. So we're really there to support youth. We had somebody who came in from Black Mentorship Inc. talking about mentoring when they are employed. We had somebody who came in that talked about ziplining and the tourism industry. So we were trying to show the students how they could become leaders in their community and the different career paths that are available. We also have for the last 2 years, and we have already planning for this year, summer in 2024, is our day camp, which is for kids between the ages of 5 and 11 years old. And it's a huge day camp. They come in and every day they learn something new. There's steel pan, there's swimming. We have Indigenous speakers that come in to talk about the truth in Canadian history. We have Black historians. And once a week, we throw them on a bus and we take them out to a conservation area or a provincial park. And we show them about the outdoors and what is available to them outdoors, because a lot of these kids don't get that kind of experience. And we have a 2,000 square foot community garden that's supported by the town of Oakville. And that 2,000 square foot garden is planted by the students of that day camp. And then those produce are harvested, and we have a chef that comes in the next day and teaches them how to cook for them and their families. So we have a lot of programs for children and youth. And in this present circumstance coming out of the pandemic, their mental health has suffered, and we're there to support them as best as we can.
Now, how do people sign up for the day camp? I know that parents regard day camp opportunities as very valuable. They line up to sign up, so to speak. What's the drill for yours?
Yeah, well, the unique thing about the day camp is that although we partner with the town of Oakville as their quality assurance to make sure that everything is run properly, they have valued it at about $500 a week, and we charge $5 a day, so $25 a week. And all you got to do is send an email to me, Andrew, at ccah.ca or daycamp@ccah.ca, and you'll get all of the information. It runs for 8 weeks in the summer.
For $5 a day, you must have to turn people away.
Well, that is not a problem for us at all. We'd like to come and service as many people as possible.
And are there any requirements to get in? Can everyone come? Or are you trying to focus on just Black kids, for example?
Well, we're trying to focus on racialized and marginalized kids. We get kids that come from Halton Children's Aid, especially ones who are in foster care, for example, but their foster care parents are from a different culture than the foster children. We get kids who have had a hard time in schools, but I would just say anybody should come. Although it is for racialized and marginalized people, you'll know about the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton is that we're here for the entire community, and Black people, according to the census, only make up between 3% and 4% of the population. But we believe that if we support 100% of the population, in doing so, that 3 or 4% will do better.
If you lift everybody, everybody rises?
Everybody.
Everybody. So, yeah, the commitment of the CCAH to diversity and inclusion predates the attention that's being given to it by other organizations, including the town. So you're a bit of a leader for us in that area. Now, Black History Month goes on for all 29 days. Happy leap year. You have an extra day this year. So did you plan an extra day of activities?
Well, what I would say is that we're happy to have that extra day. We are chock full of activities. If you go to our webpage and just click on BHM 2024, you'll see the list of public-facing events. But those are not all the events that we have, because we have a number of private events that go on in schools, that go on in retirement homes, go on in long-term care facilities. We really support all kinds of walks of life and demographics. So one thing that is very exciting for us is that this year we have partnered with Anthony Sherwood, who is a producer and director of feature films. And we have a film called Finding Freedom on the 16th.
Well, I've seen a version of that. Was that the final version, I think, that you showed?
That's right.
Because I want to say it's an outstanding film, and it teaches you things about Oakville that you never knew. And I mean, I've focused on our history ever since I moved here 30 years ago, and I was amazed at the stuff that he or you or they uncovered. It was really remarkable. I can't recommend highly enough people to see this film. Let's talk a little bit about the impact that the CCAH has had on people. I'm thinking in terms of, I mean, if you're comfortable, start with yourself, because in a way, didn't you grow up in it?
Yes, I did. I mean, the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton has always been around for me. And when it started out, really, they just met once a year, and it was a way for people to get together, make linkages in the community. And it was around food and dancing and having a good time. That was really what their annual general meeting was. And there were many times that I'd come home and I wonder what kind of party is going on in my basement, because here I was, a youngin' going out to the clubs, but it seemed like the basement parties that were going on were more exciting. And it was a way for people to get to see people who looked like them and make connections in the Oakville community.
So your parents were teaching you that they knew how to party too.
Yes, that's right. And then slowly it became, they realized that they had quite a group of people and that they should be doing something for the community as opposed to just those members of the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton. And then they slowly contacted elected officials. They decided to do things other than their annual general meeting. And then that's how CCAH grew and became the 4 pillars organization that you know of now: culture, community, education, and harmony. And doing things, I like to say during Black History Month, that we're not only Black in February, we are Black every month. And every month out of the year, the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton is doing things, sometimes publicly, but most times quietly behind the scenes, as I was telling you before, in schools, in long-term care facilities, in people's homes, counseling them, for seniors, delivering them meals, those kinds of things.
Well, the reaching out and the lifting up and the awareness expansion that the group evolved to do, I assume happened because there was a need felt that the community needed that in order to become a more livable place. And I think all of us are in the debt of the CCAH for that leadership. What about the impact of the CCAH on your own kids? Because we're talking at least 3 generations here that I know about.
Yes, well, we're all inspired by my mother, Veronica Tyrrell, who was the long-term president of the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton. She was the president for 30 years. So she was involved heavily, and by osmosis, whether I liked it or not, I was involved as well. I grew up, even before 30 years, my parents were always involved in service organizations and doing things for the community. So that was really in my DNA. And I passed that on to my children and my family as well. I have 2 grown children, 2 grown, well, I would always call them my children, but 2 grown adult boys. And they are involved in the CCH as well, as I'm sure you know, because you've seen them at events and at various programming.
So what's remarkable is that they haven't run away from it or anything. Like sometimes kids don't want to be involved in what their parents are involved in, so it's good on you. Now, what about other kids? Have you seen, are there stories you can tell about people outside the family who've been marked by their the benefit they've got from being involved in CCAH?
Oh, I have a number of stories. I have, there are 2 sisters, Jocelyn and Janelle Brathwaite, and they started with the Canadian Caribbean Association when they were 8 years old. And they started with the steel pan band music lessons, and they continued year after year. When they got to high school, they volunteered for the organization at Christmas parties and in our youth leadership program. And when they became 15 years old, they became counselors at the day camp. And one of them is now in university, and she received a CCAH 4 Pillars scholarship last year when she was going into first year, and her sister is still in high school. We have Marika Pinnock and Kiera Pinnock. They too have been involved in the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton since 8 years old. I remember them being on our float for Santa Claus Parade and helping the little ones in various programming that we had throughout the year. And they come back. Marika last year was our coordinator for the gardening program. And Kiera has come back many years as a student in the Canada Summer Jobs program and an intern working in our office during the summer. And they've both gone on to university and are doing a number of different things, but they still come back and volunteer with the organization, and they're in their mid-20s now.
Well, and I know their dad, Richard, has been an active volunteer in our community as well, and perhaps with you.
Yes, that's right. And there's other kids that we have a very special arrangement with Appleby College, where Appleby College has a scholarship program, and they seek out people in the community. And we have been designated as one of their upstream agencies to nominate people for Appleby scholarships. So we work with families to get all the documentation together and to hopefully feed into that program. And that goes for a number of other social service agencies. They always come to the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton to see if there are other people, members, as well as people that we know who are in need. And as well, we partner with those groups and we give our services and resources to them, notwithstanding that they're not CCH members. We're here to really commit to and embrace the community, especially those who are struggling.
Right. Now, let's turn away from youth for a second and talk about adult participation. Do you find ready and willing volunteers to assist you? And I mean, let's see. I know I've met several, but I'm just wondering what's the outreach at the adult level experience like for you? How's that been going?
It's going great for us. I believe that volunteers has really been, one of the foundations of the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton, and they have a different motivation. They want to betterment of the community so that the generations that are coming up behind them don't encounter the same difficulties that they encountered. For example, we have 2 award-winning documentary films called Legacy Voices. And the Legacy Voices one is on permanent installation at the Oakville Museum. And it is about seniors who are who were new immigrants to Canada and them calling Canada their home and all of the struggles that they went through. And one thing that they all have in common is that they're proud Canadians. And all of those people are volunteers at the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton. And we have Legacy Voices 2 that we're going to be premiering at film.ca on February the 28th. And that's another movie which is The Next Generation. So it has seniors as well as it has children as well. And all of those people are volunteers.
Well, now you're talking, and we're coming back around to the theme and activities of Black History Month, which we're looking forward to throughout February. Where will people be able to see there's a collection of really large posters that tell little glimpses into Oakville history and the way really 3 groups of people came together to create Oakville: the indigenous settlers, the settlers from around the empire, and the Black settlers fleeing slavery in the United States mostly. And there's quite a display. Is it still on display? I mean, usually it's at the museum, but it's also at Queen Elizabeth Park. Where do you are you planning to put that up somewhere?
Well, one thing that I'll clear up just quickly is that those Black settlers, not all of them, as you know, were escaping slavery. Some of them were freed people who just decided on their own to come to Oakville. Samuel Adams, for example, as well as James Wesley Hill. Those are noted names in Oakville and in Oakville's history and Oakville's Black history, and they were freed people. They were not slaves. But we do have those posters that are in the museum, but also what we do during Black History Month is that we install those posters in schools. So you'll go to a number of area elementary schools and high schools, and you'll find those posters as well.
Well, that's great. You know, there's some pretty famous stories in the United States of free Black people who were nevertheless captured by agents of plantation owners in New York City and in Philadelphia and places like that, and taken and forced into slavery, and then their escape from it is like some of the more dramatic stories that you can. And can you imagine being a free person and being, and living in what you think is a free country, and the next thing you know, you wake up on a plantation and you're a slave? Terrible. So that would motivate people to come here, I think, because I think we've been a very livable place all our history. I think you'd agree. Andrew, thank you very much for all that you're doing for our town. And thank you for tuning in and learning about what we've got in store in the month of February for Black History Month. And if there's anything you can do to help CCAH, you know how to reach Andrew now, and I can guarantee you that he's friendly. We'll look forward to seeing you next time here on Oakville Matters.